Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a hypothetical scenario so ludicrously improbable, it makes Brexit look like a well-thought-out plan. What if Canada, in all its maple syrup-soaked glory, decided to join the European Union? Canada joining the EU is about as likely as a polar bear riding a moose down the Champs-Élysées while singing Celine Dion. But for the sake of argument, let's explore the economic, political, and social implications of such a move. Buckle up because things are about to get weird. First off, let's talk money. Canada joining the EU would mean full access to the single market, a giant economic free-for-all with 27 other countries. Imagine a world where maple syrup flows freely from Vancouver to Vilnius, and German cars are cheaper than therapy in Toronto. The EU would get access to Canada's vast natural resources, which is probably what they're really after. Now, Canada already has the EU-Canada Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, or CETA. CETA makes trade easier, but full EU membership, that's like trading your sensible hatchback for a Formula One car. Exciting, but you better know what you're doing. Canada would have to adopt EU economic policies, which is a bit like asking a grizzly bear to wear a tutu and learn ballet. Politically, Canada joining the EU would be like a moose trying to fit into a phone booth, messy and confusing. Canada would have to align its policies with EU regulations, covering everything from environmental standards to labour laws. Imagine the Canadian government having to answer to Brussels instead of Ottawa. Canada would also get representation in EU institutions like the European Parliament and the European Commission. This sounds great in theory, but imagine the logistics. Canadian MEPs would have to fly across the Atlantic every week, racking up more air miles than a frequent flyer program for migratory birds. And let's not forget about foreign policy. Canada would have to align its foreign policy more closely with the EU's common foreign and security policy. Socially, Canada joining the EU would be like a giant cultural exchange program with Canadians and Europeans free to live, work and study in each other's countries. Imagine a world where you could grab poutine in Paris or sip espresso in Saskatoon. This newfound freedom of movement could lead to some interesting cultural mashups. Europeans might be surprised to learn that not all Canadians live in igloos, while Canadians might be shocked to discover that not all Europeans speak English with a charming accent. But hey, at least we'd all be united by our shared love of complaining about the weather and queuing politely. Let's be honest, the challenges of Canada joining the EU are about as vast and unforgiving as the Canadian wilderness itself. For starters, there's the small matter of geography. Canada is, to put it mildly, not exactly next door to Europe. Then there are the legal hurdles. Canada would need to make significant constitutional changes to align with EU treaties and laws. And let's not forget about the potential backlash from both Canadians and Europeans. Canadians might be reluctant to give up their national identity, while Europeans might be wary of welcoming a country larger than the entire EU into the fold. Finally, there's the elephant in the room. Canada's close ties with the US, particularly through agreements like USMCA, could create some serious conflicts of interest with EU membership. So, will Canada join the EU? Probably not. But hey, it was fun to imagine. We explored the potential economic benefits, the political headaches, the social shake-ups, and the logistical nightmares. We laughed, we cried, we questioned the very fabric of reality. But most importantly, we learned that sometimes the most outlandish hypothetical scenarios can teach us a lot about the complexities of the real world. And if nothing else, it's given us something to talk about besides the weather.